But I'll tell you what the NFL is also providing, and you never know if you're going to get it until it just kind of happens, and you sit back and you're like, oh, this is happening. And you kind of feel it. Because it'll start off and you're like, oh, man, not again. And you just sit back and you start to watch more and more, and it's like, uh-oh, this is starting to get good. It's like one of those series that your friends tell you about, like, hey, watch this series. And, like, the first 2 episodes are like, nah, I'm not feeling it.
Right.
Then you start getting to episode 3, 4, 5, and you're like, uh-oh. And then all of a sudden you at that last episode, it's like, oh! And it was well worth it. That was me last night watching Texans and the Lions last night. Because the first couple episodes, it was just not it. It was an interception fest on both sides. Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions last night, fellas. 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 interceptions for Jared Goff.
Dude.
And anytime can we stop it, Jared Goff? This is a message to you. Just because we put your name in the MVP conversation, Jared Goff, you still got to play up to that level.
Like, we're trying to believe in you, dog.
We trying to hype you up.
Let's go.
And all you did last night was tear us down, Jared Goff. But on the opposite side, C.J. Stroud, year number 2. He threw a couple interceptions last night, a couple bad throws. You're like, oh. You know, I love sometimes when they show the angles of the throw and you can see the play happening and you're saying, yes, no. We saw a couple of those throws from C.J. Stroud yesterday. We saw 2 teams, obviously in different conferences, but yet when you look at the way that they're playing football, last night proved to me a couple of things. I think number 1, for the Houston Texans, they've got a ways to go if they want to compete with the big boys of that conference.
Yep.
And I'm talking about the Chiefs, talking about the Ravens, right? Buffalo Bills. They got a ways to go. On the opposite side, in the win 26-23 by the Detroit Lions, I saw a football team that just knows how to win, has an identity. And I saw a kicker, by the way. Shout out to Jake Bates, by the way. Mm-hmm. Jake Bates, who was selling bricks, like construction bricks.
Oh, I was about to say, you can't do
Yeah.
Construction bricks, by the way.
You can't sell bricks in the NFL, dog.
Construction bricks by Jake Bates. Kicked 2 50-yard field goals, 50-plus yards. What are you at, 57 and then 52 or 59? Look, it's like you knew Detroit was going to be like, this was going to be their year, that they weren't this underdog team anymore. They're now favorites. And I know Dan Campbell wants, we're still underdogs. No. Y'all favorites now. But you got a good kicker and you got an identity. And here's Dan Campbell after the game, just about how things went down and having the faith in Jake Bates to go out there and kick 50-plus yard field goals.
It's good. You know, inches are right down the middle. I think, as far as I'm concerned, it's right down the middle. So, you know, I'm excited. I was excited. That's a hard-fought game, and so, you know, you're living in the emotions of that type of game, and you know, you realize when you get in that one, you're playing the long game. You know, you got to do it one possession at a time and just find a way to get this thing all the way down to the end of the game, because you're not going to be able to do it as far down as we were. You're not going to be able to do it within just, you know, a couple of possessions. So we hung in there, and for him to just step up and make those kicks, you know, it's good. And his confidence is growing.
His confidence is growing, but my confidence wasn't there last night. At halftime, it's 23-7. The Houston Texans are up. They're at home. And I don't know if they really planned it last night, and I don't know if you guys saw it. I thought that the election was last week and it was over. Like, Donald Trump won the election. It was great. It's fine. But watching the aerial shots of the Houston NRG Stadium, and it was like half red, half blue. It was like the RNC, the DNC came together with all the Honolulu blue for the Detroit Lions fans, all the red from the Houston Texans fans. It was like split. It was almost like an Oklahoma versus Texas rivalry. You know what I mean?
I got to say, I love those Texans uniforms.
I know, it was nice.
Those all reds and the helmets. Dang, that was awesome.
They even had the little clips on the visors. See the little details of the game. But I'm watching the game, and it was just like, this is the Houston Texans night. This is them going into prime time. And we already knew they were a team that won their division last year, but this is also now beating one of the NFL's, what I think is an elite. This is what you're doing on Sunday Night Football. This is the game that we'll watch and say, you know what? The Texans are for real. And yet you get Jared Goff to throw you the ball 5 times. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. 5 interceptions. Let's just put that in. He threw 5 interceptions. You got to win that game. You have to win that game if you're the Houston Texans. And then at the end, Kyrie Fairbairn tried to kick a field goal, and it looked like those college kids kicking in Pat McAfee's thing on Saturday game day. Dude, that ball went.
That was not even close.
It was stadium pulse, on the NCAA game. That thing just. Anyway, I say that because you had an opportunity to prove a lot of people last night, doubters for the Houston Texans, to say, is CJ Stroud, is he really the real deal? Or is he in a sophomore slump at times? Now, he played great, but it also stood out to me that there is a void with Stephon Diggs now out for the season.
Yeah, big
Nico
time.
Collins coming back from injury in a week or two. We'll see when his availability is. There are some things that last night showed about the Texans that they got work to do. They're still going to win their division because everybody else is terrible. Well, I don't know, the Colts, you never know sometimes, but everybody else is not as good as they are. So as I look at the AFC South, Houston Texans, you'll be fine. You got to get some guys back. Nico Collins comes back, figure some things out down the stretch, late game execution. I am totally in for the Houston Texans, but are they contenders against the big dogs?
No.
Buffalo?
No.
Kansas City?
Nope.
Baltimore?
Nope. I think, Kirk, when I watched that game and I think about it, they were up 23-7.
At half.
At the half.
At half.
0 second half points. And you look at the last 4 weeks, this has really been an issue with Houston putting points on the board in the second half. Last night, 0. Week before, 6 second half points. Week before, 6 second half points. In Lambeau, 3 second half points. What are we doing where you can they're only kicking field goals in the second half? It's really an issue. Look, I know Stroud's been getting pressured. It's an up-the-middle thing that he's been dealing with. Not having Steph Diggs, I think,
that's huge.
So glaringly obvious. I know a lot of people thought Nico Collins was going to play last night. That probably makes a difference. But come on, man. Like, you want to play with the big boys? Like, you got to put some points up in the second half and close this thing out.
I try not to give excuses. I'm not an excuse maker, but I do give reasons. There's a reason. That offense is missing Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins. Nico Collins comes back. Okay, you've got a number 1 wide receiver. Tank Dell, I think, is a great complimentary receiver. Yeah, Dalton Schultz gets involved.
He's not one.
Joe Mixon. Yeah, we understand the hierarchy of wide receivers with the Houston Texans. But this was all about Detroit. Detroit found a way, and why, to me, they're the best team in the NFC. I'm not going NFL. I'm not going on that bandwagon yet. But Detroit shows you why they're the best team in the NFC.